Right, so in today's video we're in a completely different space. This is a lawn that I'm going to be managing over the next sort of lawn care season, and what we want to do is get this lawn looking absolutely superb. But before we do, let's have a look at what it's looking like now, where the problem areas are, and kind of have a bit of a chat about what the next steps are going to be. Right, so in terms of just a brief history of this lawn, fairly similar to my own in a sense. It's a new build garden. It's got really thick, heavy clay soil. However, it's about 20 years older than the lawn that I've got. And on the whole, it doesn't look too bad initially. And that's because we've got a lot of coverage of green. However, you can see we've got quite a lot of moss in the sward, and what's happening is we've got a lot of thatch going on, we've got a lot of moss, and that's trapping loads of moisture on top of that soil profile within the sward, and that's just encouraging more moss to grow. It's encouraging more thatch to develop, so that's something we definitely need to deal with. And moss is certainly something we can start to sort out now that we're in March, but it does have a few other issues as well. Like you can see, we've got the odd weeds knocking about, which is just typical for, you know, the average UK lawn. And if we come over to this side in the shade, we can kind of get a more true reflection of what this lawn looks like. It's very green, but there's not a lot of grass plants. There are a few weeds, but there's a lot of that moss. That's certainly our biggest problem to begin with. So what is it then we're going to do to this lawn? Well, first of all, we're going to start off just by giving it its first cut of the year. We'll take off the top of the plant. It is going to be a little bit tricky because it is quite spongy in places because of the amount of thatch, the amount of moss, but we'll do our best to take off what we can. Then we're going to get on today with a liquid iron application. What that's going to start to do is to start to dry out the sward. It's going to turn that moss black, it's going to dehydrate it, it's going to reduce it from spreading any further. And then what we can do is we can come back in around about 2 or 3 weeks and we can get on with the scarifier and take that moss out, and by then the temperatures will have started to increase, and we can look at what we're going to do in terms of, are we going to overseed it, do we need to top dress, and think about how we're going to start thickening the sward up with more grass than weeds and moss. One thing we're not going to deal with is we're not going to tackle the weed problem today. The reason being is because the weeds aren't really actively growing. I mean, today at the start of March, where it's about 16 degrees, all the weeds are going to be starting to grow a little bit, but we do have some cooler temperatures coming in the next couple of weeks, so it's not really the prime time to be getting on with a weed killer application just yet. We'll save that for when we get to possibly late April, if not even the start of May. Right, so I've got some liquid iron in the spray. I've gone with 5 grams per square metre, which is the higher end of the application of the iron that I'm putting down. Any sort of liquid iron or soluble iron is going to do the exact same thing. It's going to turn the grass a nice dark shade of green. It's going to dehydrate that moss and also dehydrate the sward as well, just to make sure we don't have disease and any more moss growing about. So there we go, the liquid iron has been applied, and like I said before, let's give it around about 2 to 3 weeks. Let's let it do its thing, and then we'll come back, we'll have a look at the space, we'll reassess, and then it might be a case of getting on with the scarifier, getting rid of any of that dead moss that we've dehydrated, that we turn black, and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it or you did find it useful, feel free to give it a like, and if you'd like to stick around on this channel to follow the progress of this lawn or see any similar content similar to this, then consider subscribing. Finally, thanks for watching.